In a valley ringed by bright emerald mountains, the end of the workday usually meant a rush back toward the village. But every evening, 16-year-old Arin could be found heading the opposite direction, climbing alone to the highest hill in town. He ignored the usual local games and competitions. Instead, he brought a worn-out sketchbook, sat in the grass, and captured the specific colors of the setting sun. This was a ritual rooted in a lesson from his late grandfather. The sky never repeats itself, and every sunset tells a story that will never be told exactly the same way again. Over the years, that sketchbook grew into a collection of hundreds of unique skies. The villagers laughed at him, convinced that painting was a waste of time in a world that demanded practical work. While the community saw a teenager with a hobby, Arin had spent years building a chronological visual record of the valley's atmosphere, one day at a time. That record became vital when factories opened beyond the mountains. They began pumping thick gray smoke into the air, slowly suffocating the valley. The shift was gradual, but the ecological effects were widespread. The evening colors vanished, bird populations fled the area, and the river turned to mud. To understand why the community failed to react, we have to look at a concept called shifting baseline syndrome. This graph plots environmental health over time. Notice the markers along the curve. Each one represents a new generation. Instead of comparing their environment to the original pristine state, each group accepts a progressively lower, degraded starting point as their normal. By the time we reach the lowest point on this timeline, a massive gap exists between the original ecosystem and the current reality. In the village, young children who had never seen a clear sky fully accepted the toxic gray haze as the natural state of the world. Arin felt this loss every day. He still climbed the hill every evening, but he found himself staring at a flat, uniform gray expanse with absolutely nothing left to paint. The pollution didn't just destroy the environment, it erased the community's memory of what they had lost. The turning point arrived during an ordinary village school exhibition. Most visitors walked in expecting to see standard wooden crafts and student projects. Instead, they found Arin's contribution. He had blanketed the exhibition walls with hundreds of his sunset paintings, spanning years of observations. The sheer volume of the work transformed the room into a physical timeline of the valley's decay. The villagers found themselves walking through the visual history of their own forgotten natural beauty. The dates on the paintings triggered specific memories. An elderly woman found the exact sky from the day her daughter was born. A fisherman recognized the horizon from the evening his father taught him to cast a net. The evidence was too dense to ignore. Confronted with the skies they had actually lived under, the older generation's suppressed memories of the valley's health were suddenly restored. When photos of the exhibition began to circulate online, they caught the attention of environmental agencies. Researchers realized the dated watercolors provided a consistent visual baseline. By matching paintings to historical satellite maps, they calibrated how the atmosphere changed. Cycling through these matches, a downward trend in clarity emerges, proving exactly how factory emissions altered the climate. This data provided the leverage needed for a formal inquiry. Faced with a visual record that contradicted their own reports, factory owners were forced by government officials to implement filtration systems and reduce emissions. The community didn't wait for the policy to take full effect. Families began the physical work of reclaiming their ecosystem, clearing the mud from the rivers, and planting thousands of saplings to restore the watershed. The marriage of Arin's observation and scientific analysis stripped away the factory's ability to claim the gray sky was normal, providing the proof required for real change. Months of restoration work culminated on a quiet evening. Across the valley, the community paused to look at the horizon. High above the hills, the heavy pollution finally broke. A single piercing streak of orange light cut through the dense gray clouds. Then the colors returned in full. Pink, gold, and deep crimson flooded the sky, the first true sunset the valley had seen in years. While the villagers applauded the horizon, Arin simply smiled, opened a brand new sketchbook, and resumed his work. Arin's paintings eventually found their way into museums around the world, but his favorite spot never changed. His legacy is a reminder that nature is borrowed from our children, and the purpose of art is to serve as the record that tells us what is worth protecting.